Oh.
Ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Peck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo
How matakuipi?
Yeehaw.
Dakuye owas. Okay. Diane Wachia Capido.
Oh.
Okay, Elijah Hopkins Demie. Wana wa chinja wakapa. Onspel kantu ya dechia Diane Hipido. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. We're at week number 23, I believe. Again, another beautiful day here in lovely Poplar, Montana. located in the heart of the Fort Peck-Assiniboine Sioux Reservation. Again, I'm accompanied by Dekshi Nekshi Wamnishage,
Oh,
known throughout Powell country as Mr. Tommy Christian, Eapaha extraordinaire. So again, we're glad he's here with us. Before we get started, we always try to do things in a good way. With some prayer, we'll check you and ask Dex if you would say a prayer for us before we get started here.
how mi taki epidaya ipi ushimalo ksewi chasha mialo na ha. Ohe chaje mi ta wam nishage doba imacha api omakia na wachekia. All my relatives again on this day, as you heard, che mi ta la tatanka doba naji hunga hude shabi oyanteki na ha. Wakaya api oloma wana he sang this song. It helps us to understand the importance of belonging to this Buffalo Chasers society. And as you with the words were shared with you last time, we can understand the importance of that manner in which we have an option to go to this higher power, the spiritual energy. So today I'm gonna share with you, although I don't have a good voice that is melody kind of inclined. I have a hard time singing, but it's not a song per se. It's more of a wachekia, a heartfelt cry to ask for pity for our relatives. But in this way, it talks about this man that he's coming and he's carrying a pipe. He's coming in a holy way, so they say. He's coming filled with the spiritual energy, but don't let him fool you, or he may be fooling you. He's bringing this pipe. Don't let him fool you. That's what the words to this song mean. But I share it in this way, and hopefully I can do it justice. I'll do it 2 times through. Again, I'm not a singer, but I'll share it with you in a good way. So if you'll pity me and just bear with me. So huka he wanai. Aha he atu kashila na wakantaka tadeo ya doba. Unchi makana makaina. Na ku mitaki epi wanagi makpea ktayage. Hocho ka kta hiopo. Ushake mitaki epi na hawanahi. Okia wo ushiwi chalapo. Nichope. Ushake na ha omakia na ha. Wakaya api oloa ahia wainkte. Ushimelo homat elo. Omakia na ha omakia. Chano pawa ne chau pelo yo daya yo zayo yo hai ya hey ai oganas ma yagna yek iyo Ewa kaya hewa yelo ay ay o ganash mayagna ekio ay o chano pawa ne chau pelo yo daya yo zayo yo ay ay o ganash mayagna yekio ewa chaya he Wayelo, ay, Oganashma, Yagna, Ekio, ay, ha, hey, how, mitake, oasi, wamakashka, oasi.
Oh, man, Dex, we'll be done. Yeah. Again, beautiful prayer. I really like starting us out that way. And our mind right here for these podcasts. So yeah, Dex, we are at week number 23, still rocking and rolling here. Figure we would do a general open discussion, but as we discussed earlier, maybe we'll do a bit of a recap on things. There are some pretty cool things that we're trying to do as far as some programming related to the podcast, and maybe we'll just review that now. But a few other announcements. So for week 22, the podcast drawing winners are, first of all, for a really Cho jacket. I think Dekshi is rocking one over there. But for a Buffalo Chasers Indian Letterman's jacket, we have winner chicken dinner, Shelby Walton.
Yeehaw. Come on, sound effects, man. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Congratulations. Push the wrong button there. Oh, hey, and then we also have a Kindle Fire tablet, Sissy Eaton. Sissy Eaton.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Winner.
Yeah. You can redeem those prizes over at Student Services. We'll send them your name and information. And so just give them a call if you're unable to physically go to Student Services at the War Eagle Vision and Poplar. Call 406-768-6370. And they'll be able to hook you up. So congratulations to you folks. For those
Kindle Fire be wore out with Sissy. She got about 10 kids over there. Remember? That's the one who was folding clothes and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She'll enjoy that. Yeah. Right on.
Heck yeah. So and then also just a reminder for those of you that are joining us on Facebook, social media, because there's a few of you that are on the Zoom call. We're able to do both, but if for whatever reason, if most of our students will get that invite through their student email, that's how they're able to access the registration link and whatnot. But for those of you that are not able to access that link, or you're not students, then you feel free to join us via Facebook live stream. And then by giving us a like, giving us a share, putting something in the comment box, showing us some Facebook love, we're able to put your name in the hat for our weekly drawing. And we'll always announce that the following podcast. So that's how you're able to join that drawing. So just a little FYI on that. A couple other cool announcements. We have the Buffalo Chasers Leadership Development Program. Yes. Buffalo Chasers Leadership Development Program. And so we did post that on the Facebook page of the college, the program overview that was sent out to all employees and all current students. But just a quick overview of that program. Okay, it's specific for spring 21. Okay, so the timeline is 3/22 to 5/14, which is basically the rest of the academic semester after midterms. Okay, so you'll be able to do your spring break, go down to Cancun or wherever it is that you go, and then come back, and then that will be that time period. And so right now we're accepting applications through a survey link. That's for that student application. We've already had numerous
and they're going to do that survey too, right, Toshka? They're going to do that survey. Remember, we needed that survey done.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they'll do all that good stuff. But just so we know you're interested and you're able to participate, there are a couple participation requirements. One of which is attend this weekly podcast. That's easy. Every Thursday from 3 to 4 via Zoom. We would definitely want you to join the Zoom call for that, and then attend weekly virtual student talking circles via Zoom. Again, that's every Friday from 2 to 3. Those are sent out weekly as reminders. And then we have a few other little events like a virtual museum trip. And then at the end of that, we're requesting those that complete the program to do a 2-minute video testimonial about your experience, introduce yourself, your student, and then just talk about a little bit about what you learned, and then what you think is important, those salient issues. And then that'll really help us out. And we know that you appreciate what we're doing here. But in order to be eligible, you just got to be a current student with a minimum of 6 credits, which is basically 2 classes. Be 6 credits, degree seeking, you're eligible. The student award, the Mazaska, is $1,000. So 500 of that is up front. We'll make those announcements who's accepted into the program, and then you'll get that $500 probably that week, 322 during that time period, shortly thereafter, and then the last half of that will be at the end of the completion of the semester, and then so that's a super awesome opportunity. Some of you are already on the call here. You're great candidates, but I think it's another way to incentivize further participation from other students and kind of.
Toshka, let me jump in there real quick. And then for all those, you need to tell your friends and your relatives and buddies, we're really wishing to entice some students out here for the sake of just really promoting the Buffalo Chasers Society. And again, we are acknowledging we have some ladies that are going to get a little bit more involved after we have a meeting with some individuals we identified already to help us to become that catalyst or the center of this little group we got going representing the Buffalo Chasers. But all of the students are Buffalo Chasers, are a member of the Buffalo Chasers Society. And so, but we're just now starting out. So the versatility we have, the ability to go in whatever direction we need to, hopefully that will be guided by the 5 individuals or 6 individuals, including the young lady involved, whoever that is, or 7 maybe. But based on student involvement, what they would like to see, but we have some things that are definitely planned in respects to that. But we're just establishing them, but we could do anything. We can do a garden, which I already have one going here on Fort Peck Community College. We can enhance that. We can go on camping trips to the Sundances or whatever, go observe a sweat lodge, don't have to participate. But what we're trying to do is just broaden your worldview as it relates to who and what we are as First Nations people and how we approach life as we know it. And so we can do just about anything. And berry picking, that sort of thing, sage picking, all different kinds of, and maybe even a little root digging, just so. The thing of it is, we'd like for you to see how we choose, again, the key word there is choose, how we choose to live our life on the resin, how we get along, with limited resources. There's other things that we do that nobody really knows. And then, of course, involving ourselves with some horses over there on the east end. We got some folks that are involved in horsemanship, and so we can get involved in that. Just that relationship that the First Nations people have with the horse that sometimes we just take for granted because we live on the res and everybody kind of gets around horses. But we want to do stuff like that, but it's going to be very important that involvement is something. And again, one thing I'd like to add, Toshka, the $500, the front end of that, and the 500 in the back end, that's what you could refer to as appreciation. We're not buying you into the program, but it's because you chose to participate. That's yours. You can do with it what you want. The 500 in the back, that's yours as well. You could do with it what you want. We're not buying your time. You don't owe us anything for the money that you receive. We're just understanding that this way of life is not, it's to help you go beyond that fear or that anxiety or that trepidation as it relates to getting involved in things like this. And again, this is done with an attitude of love, caring, sharing, compassion, empathy, all those virtues that we need to exercise on a daily basis that you'll realize we do it differently. It's not wrong, it's just different. So in that process, it's something, but those are something that I'm just trying to help our students realize is important in respects to belonging to that Buffalo Chaser Society. Then those that are participant in it, then they can go share some of those characteristics of what it means to be a Buffalo Chaser or a student that belongs to Fort Peck Community College. So, and again, I think, and I'm hoping, Toshka, that it comes to a first come, first serve basis, because if we got 30 slots, man, I hope we get like 45 involved people that want to get into that leadership program. But the rest, they're still included. And so hopefully that doesn't scare anybody off. But it's a leadership program that we're going to help those that do take on those leadership qualities, that they'll be able to share them for the sake of the greater good. And I think that that'll give us a segue, Toshka, to probably talk about some of those things we learned up to this point. So, okay, I just wanted to share that, Toshka. Huka, why not?
Oh, Dama. On the again, it says a review of the student program overview. It's a leadership development program. We're seeking to increase participation in these cultural events, awareness, but these are all retention services as well for the college. But we want to connect everyone and increase cultural literacy. I think that's the main thing. It's non-academic. It's not meant to be punitive. We're not out here to penalize anybody. It's just, here you go. Here's what we have to share with you, and want to welcome everybody, no matter who you are. As long as you're one of our students, you're welcome. And then these are specific for these people in this leadership development program with the stipend, but anybody else can come to these things. It's open to all of our students, and we want them to be able to feel welcome. So there's that. We'll be making further updates next week on the rollout of that. But by the 22nd, we want to notify all of our students, the award recipients for that. Another really cool update, it's kind of a last minute where, with the podcast, but also just with cultural arts in general, because we're an academic granting degrees, granting institution, is what we're trying to enhance other aspects. Part of it's the cultural arts. And so in seeking other individuals to help promote some real cool opportunities and connections for our students, there was an individual that I reached out to, knowing him through different cultural arts circles and language revitalization circles, and his name is Mr. Jeremy Redigo, Tahanshi Jeremy Redigo. And so he's agreed to do some guest speaking on Tuesday starting next week, just for an hour. I'll be doing some Q&A sessions. I think a link was already sent out. One is bow making. We'll just have a general discussion on that. That's one of his passions. Along the next week would be land-based knowledge, just talking about different medicines that grow and just general discussion. The third week, I think, would be March 23rd, is Indigenous language acquisition, fancy term for just trying to get familiar with your own language that you want to identify with, whatever heritage language that you want to explore, Cree, whatever. There's ways that you, really interesting to talk to him. It's just, there's a way that you, he wants to convey about connecting with speakers. Not everything is a book. Not everything is in that way. It's to enhance those relationships within our community. So he has some interesting thoughts to share. And then also traditional lacrosse in Isayanti, Dakota country, Makoche, where he's from. Lacrosse is kind of a big deal. It's making a comeback. And so kind of an interesting field that he's part of. And so he just wants to share some of that. If anybody wants to join the call, it's totally free. It's open up to everybody. It'll also be live streaming from 3 to 4 p.m. during those time periods. But those are the two main announcements. Unfortunately, Dakshi, Earl Bullhead could not make it here today. He's a busy man doing some other things, but hopefully next week he can help us out. But back to our podcast discussion regarding the leadership program. And I think last week you did a really good job, Dex, of bringing viewers or listeners up to speed on kind of the comprehensive things that we've talked about. Different weeks, it's always been a different topic, but there's some emerging themes, I guess, that keep coming up, which is like inclusiveness, being welcome within our circle, responsibilities, and having understanding of relationships. And Earl was here. He did some really cool discussions on just listening and with elders from those perspectives. I don't know where you want to roll with it today, but any place within there is all good.
Okay, Toshka, good job. And again, thank you very much for that information. And again, I think it's key that although we facilitate it, we kind of guide it, I think the students really need to step up and start taking control of it as it relates to Well, this podcast is different, but tomorrow we're pretty open here. We're public, but tomorrow it's kind of private. But so that's just within our student relations. So we need to really start, I think, looking at or trying to find a way in which we can comfortably go forward in what we've shared already. And so, in that process, um, that's where, yeah, step up. You don't need to be afraid to talk. And I would just suggest that possibly if you're students and you have some concerns or anything like that that you don't want to share publicly, um, uh, you can do it at the talking circle, and we could bring that out. And then in your representation as a buffalo chaser, you can come in at the podcast, and we can discuss um, whatever you'd like, that title or that whatever role that do you think to play, or what you'd like to do, stuff like that. And that's what it's all about right here in the beginning stages. And you have to, I don't know if you need to bear with us, but we're just kind of not necessarily winging it, but there is a method to the madness in which we're going forward, because we do speak about these things, and we do have some aspirations in mind. Like we wish we could get our own little cultural area or building, blah blah blah. All these things, put everything on display and let you see them for yourself, and then a place you can just kind of go hang out and kind of smudge up and stuff like that right here on campus. And then we're looking forward to something like that. But at the same time, until that occurs, we'll just, and that's what I mean when I say we're just winging it. Although we're established, we're not winging it necessarily, but at the same time we're just cruising and following that natural process, and not telling people what to do, how to do it, or what to do. And we're kind of at the mercy of the spiritual entity that's really helping us come along. And I have a strong belief in that. And so I think, and I do know Jeremy as it relates to some of his issues. I have a cousin over there in Sisseton that's used to be the vice chairman over there, Eddie Johnson. He's my nephew. And Jeremy he is the director of their language program over there, right? He's the
Yeah.
director, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so he's pretty well known over in that area, and he has a good understanding of what we do. And if you look at him, you think he's a white guy. Well, I'm teasing, but and again, but speaks the language fluently, and all that good stuff, and helps a lot of elders, receives a lot of guidance from the elders over there, and he can bring that to us as it relates to what we're wishing to accomplish. And then I spoke with Earl earlier on the phone, but he's got a place down there that he's wishing to share as it relates to what um, capabilities that we have within our little structured uh, Buffalo Society is, as far as um, growing our own food, processing our own meat, going on a buffalo hunt, all that stuff. He's got a place down there in South Dakota that he wants me to go to and just take video it, so kind of go through that virtual experience with y'all, and so that we can see what our potential is. So with the capabilities we have, we can establish ourselves. And again, it's totally inclusive. It's not an Indian thing per se, but it's a more community perspective. And our community in this case would, of course, include all of the reservation. But at the same time, think about it. Fort Peck Community College has people all over the United States that are enrolled here. So we could be representative in respects to that nationally, if you would. But again, there's so many things that if we can get the word out based on our needs and whatnot, I think we can really establish ourselves as um, being proud of an alma mater of Buffalo Chaser Society, eh? And kind of get those things, and like when somebody graduates and they get like a feather or a plume or stuff, we can make those with honor, with dignity, and maintaining the integrity of our graduates that have accomplished that milestone in their life, and then just really establish that and really make it something, and it is already very honorable, but I mean, just to enhance that, because we'll participate in that and we'll be supportive. You know, it's like when a warrior, when a veteran, when a warrior goes to war, defends this freedom, eh? A lot of the times, the families don't feel included in the efforts of that war veteran, but they are, because guess where their hearts are at? With a safe return of that veteran. And so the ceremonies they go through, the prayers that they say each and every day, that's participation in the efforts of that veteran who is trying to establish or realize that milestone of Wichasha, Wichasha. And then that means that when you get that essay on the end of Wicha, that means you've done something that's very dignified and honorable for the sake of your family or your name, your family name. And so then you become a Wichasha. But in that whole process, that's what we're all going to be consistently coming to understand. And then if we can possibly throw in there with that appreciation money, Toshka, have those guys go back and listen to those other 20 some podcasts that we did at their leisure, but at least they'll be able to catch up to a mindset and where those ones that have been coming along ever since. So the beginning, they'll be established, because we don't want to leave nobody behind under the auspice of um, we're only as strong as our weakest link, eh? And so that strength comes in numbers, and we're looking to go forward, but in a very respectful way, and that's how we consistently bringing that Buffalo Chaser Society along, looking inwardly and dealing with these things, promoting critical thought, being intuitive in that participation, and letting people know, hey, well, I think this, and that's what we want. I think this, I think that, and no thought like that or any participation is wrong. It's welcomed here, and it's totally inclusive. We don't look at it in a, what do they call it, discriminatory way. God, that's not even our language. You know, a young kid was in here the other day, and he was asking me, Uncle, he said, what do you call a child molester? But he was concerned because that's kind of a contemporary thing, and I had to share with him. I don't know if we have a word for that, because the reason that is not because we denied it or we didn't address it, but or hid it under the rug. It's because that never occurred in our culture. Hey, that word wasn't one that needed to be used or even thought of, because again, you didn't do those things. It's like there was power in numbers. We had a very tribal attitude about the way we did things, very communal, and so there was that strength in numbers. And if you did something against nature that affected the tribes, like it wasn't really bad to kill an enemy, but you did address the fact that that was an unnatural act, and you were defending your own in that regard. But it was kind of a criminal act to kill one of your own tribal members. And so what they would do with you when you murdered or killed one of your own tribal members, they would throw you out of the tribe. And back in the day, remember I said there's power in numbers? Back in the day, if you were thrown out into the wilderness on your own, usually that meant certain death. And so that killing of that human was not up to us, it was up to this higher power, this spiritual energy, how far they would let that individual live, or if he found a way to survive, then that's not on our hands, eh? That onus belongs to that individual that did that unnatural act. And so that's how we dealt with things back then. And so, for the sake of survival, people wouldn't behave antisociably. They would be always included. And that's where the roles that we learned about earlier, the roles of the ladies and the men and the children and the uncles and the aunts. And we just kind of skimmed the surface on some of those responsibilities just to give you an idea or a concept in which you can think about on how we do things and how we think. how we go forward and still continue to be happy. And the teasing is totally a part of it. I was at a funeral uh, last year, and then I did the memorial on Monday, and they were teasing and joking, and well, I was the one teasing and joking at a memorial service, and we found it very appropriate, eh? Because again, that's a part of our way. It's not sacrilegious or blasphemous in our way, because we got it in perspective. It's a very respectful thing. And so when I told the joke, I blamed it on my brother-in-law that had passed away that we buried last year. I said, that must be him coming in here making me say all these antics. So I blamed him just to get it off me. But again, that's a part of that teasing as well, to kind of lighten the whole memorial that was going on. It got very emotional for the family that I did that for. But and again, I did it on virtual, and I never done that before. I just kind of, it wasn't freaky. It was just different, eh? And they had everything set up, and it was all set up. And so again, those are things we can adapt to, we can adjust to. And then when we get together, when this COVID thing kind of calms down, when we get together as a family, we did commit that we would respectfully go through the ceremonial process of what it is that we wish the people to do at that time during that memorial. But that's where this Buffalo Society has taken us. One of the things during that memorial, some of my relatives from Sioux Valley were stating about how important it is to cry. Eh? Remember when I define wachekia as a heartfelt cry? One of the individuals was really sobbing during the memorial, and I said, no, that makes me feel good because of my definition of what they refer to as prayer and what we call wachekia. Because we think about it differently doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. Our intent is still the same as theirs, and there's probably parallel. But then again, uh, just like when I was going to sing the song in my language, I say, "Waka'iapi olonwa ahiawa inkte." I want to sing this spiritually filled song. Eh? You see? And it didn't say holy song, spiritually filled song, spiritual energy filled song, kind of like that, eh? But it's not wrong, it's just different. And as we approach these things, that's how we understand the diversity that exists there is something that we respect. But at the same time, we're not trying to pan Indianism anybody or pan humanism anybody, let's put it that way, because we do have unique ways in which we approach this spiritual energy or this higher power. And so, in that, we respect that protocol. We respect the ways that they go. That's why they say there's as many ways to go to God as there's blades of grass, and we respect every one of those ways. We do. And in that process, we do that by letting you do that. Nishnielo. Okay? That's them. And that's a respectful statement of inclusiveness. You don't try to dictate or be autocratic in the manner in which you share, because you don't want to impose or impede or infringe on anybody else's right to exist. All of these things that I'm sharing with you, they're virtues that were taught, character building virtues that were taught, shared with me without telling me. They were shared with me in such a gracious way that I was able to undefensively accept them and apply them to my life um, so willingly, eh? And see, that's why it's important that you understand. And like Toshka said here, it's, you're not going to be tested. You're not. It's not a teaching opportunity, but it's one of learning upon yourself, and that's up to you. It's an opportunity for you to take advantage of this avenue of approach. And hey, I'm gonna open my peripherals a little bit, and let's widen my world view. And because I live here under us, I have all these Indians hanging around here, and I got to quit looking at them as savages and start understanding they're human beings too. That's a joke. The savage thing, that's a joke amongst us Indians. So and we include you guys too. So but again, you'll understand the importance of keeping things in perspective, understand the balance that we aspire to. We take it very seriously. We understand the importance of having the jovialness, and at the same time the respect for the protocol, all in the same time. And you'll see people that represent that, and then you have to look inwardly and say, is that person doing that intentionally, just being an asshole on purpose? And in some cases, yes, but in most cases, when it comes to Indians, they're just teasing each other to help you stick to the protocol, because it takes a lot of responsibility to discipline yourself to maintain that sense of respect that a lot of our things are, our way of life needs. And again, we're not a religious people, but we're very spiritual in the manner in which we choose to live. So it becomes a way of life. So again, those things, uh, to remain apolitical, you see, to give you that understanding, when we talk about our belief system, the Indian belief system, it's spiritual. And so nothing about church and state comes into being. You can't apply that church and state law that they have to the way that we believe, because it's not a doctrine per se, eh? And we don't manipulate or exploit it like that, nor would we. And so it's just a way of life naturally under natural law. And at the end of this whole experience, once we established a epistemology, you like that, Tushka? Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, based on a pedagogy that we can adapt and adjust in respects to this ideological paradigm shift that precipitates from our philosophical beliefs. Oh man, I like to talk like that. God darn it. Boy, I shouldn't have learned that new word, man. I'm trying to
One's going into
epistemology. Yeah. I don't even know what that means, and I'm trying to use it in a sentence. See? But no, no, and that's what is key, because at the end of this whole thing, your, not mine, or I didn't tell you to do this, but as much as you'd like to accept it's there for you. If you don't accept it, don't accept it, but don't fight within yourself. Just take stuff that's you're willing to accept, based on your value system, based on that ability to be a critical thinker, to be intuitive, but even more so from a spiritual perspective, to be open minded enough, open hearted enough to understand, hey, these are good things, man. Yeah, I can make them.
That's where that
We do
stepping
this.
up is what you were talking about, as far as like challenging yourself. I think
Yeah.
it's important.
Yes, yes. And you see, and that's what we're wishing to establish as you become a representative of the Fort Peck Community College as a Buffalo Chaser societal member. Okay? And so we're going to reestablish that value system. And then again, you can behave however you want. You can do this, do that, however, act, eat, go. That means crazy, as much as you want. But when you come to the college, you're going to understand that, hey, this place is providing me with a higher understanding of myself, of my potential and my capabilities in the academic field. And at the end, they're going to give me something. And right now, during this time, it ain't going to cost me nothing. They're sharing that in a very, the Fort Peck Community College is exercising its generosity, and that's a virtue, eh? So they want you to understand that it's not given to you for nothing. It's given to you in a way of appreciation and hoping that you'll become a positive force in your community at some point in time. We're a community college. We're trying to create good community members, eh? And so that's our responsibility. And you're helping us do that with that whole attitude. And that's where, again, the expansion of this particular um, way of life is important for everybody, understanding the importance of accepting that diversity that is represented here at Fort Peck Community College, and then kind of getting over the ignorance that has been expressed in the past for whatever reason, because it was political or personal. They had a political agenda or a personal agenda. Let's go beyond that. We're just good people, and it comes from our heart, and we have good hearts. And I'm trying to get to heaven, tell him. No. But yeah, that I just wanted to share that much with you also, because again, it's coming to the point to where it's kind of getting a little bit more, you understand a little bit more than you did at the beginning. And in that, for those that are just coming on, they can catch up at their own speed and understand what our intent is to share. And with that, we're wishing to take the responsibility of being the guide and the intercessor in some of these things, because of the confusion that presents that opportunity for fear. We want to dispel that fear based on clarity, providing that clarity. But we'd like for you to get involved and become leaders too, by developing your leadership skills, by enticing you into this program, because we feel it's important to give you $500 in the beginning and $500 at the end of it when you complete it. That's $1,000. That's not you don't see that hanging on the trees, man. But Fort Peck Community College is doing that for the students. We get nothing out of it. And again, we love doing this. This is something I love to do. I live like this every day. Elijah Toshka there, he lives like, we know so many people, and we just want to share them individuals with those that may be caught up in that fear, eh? Caught up in that lack of understanding, and we just want to share it, and it will just, oh, the beauty of that whole natural law process is something to be, oh, just enjoyed and all that. But you have anything to add to that, Tushka?
I guess a few things, like it was really cool. The other day, there's a couple messages that I got. One, Dekshi was talking about this national support that we've had, because there's tribal members that are from here, community members that are from here, that really like tuning into this podcast, and it makes them feel connected, and that's great. Also, we have international relatives that still getting messages through Facebook saying, giving us words of encouragement, because the words, not so much what I'm saying. I'm just like the techie guy, and then I get the pleasure of kind of throwing this thing together, and then letting individuals like Dexy, Tommy, and Earl carry that content, and I just kind of like to chime in. So it makes me feel real good to be part of that. And then when I was listening to this individual share his experience by where the content generated from the podcast, because it's all geared towards mental health and inclusion, and because it's not siloed anymore to just face-to-face and small gatherings. Now we're having this huge reach, right, through this social media platform, and we're getting it out there, and we're consistent weekly, and so the content is really never stale. And what I notice is that we're providing this inspiration, hope from connecting individuals that have, because of COVID, not just in our community. This individual was Kriya from Canada, and they really enjoyed listening to you guys, you and Earl, because it gives them this attitude that they need to go back to that Chankuduta, this red road path that they might have gotten away from, and it makes them feel good, like that they're not just a cog in a wheel. And so stuff like that, man, that really charges my battery. I'm like, okay, yes, we're making an impact. We're getting really positive feedback. Another thing I think is important to remind people is that the leadership program, the podcast, this atmosphere that we're trying to create, it might seem ambitious, but it's realistic. It's realistic because it's already been done before. We're just trying to bring some of this stuff back, and there are certain individuals that have understanding of some of these societies, and why they're important. They're not there just to like sound cool or whatever. It's because really, in the Tioshpaye model, in kinship model, everybody had a relationship with somebody, and there was a responsibility based off Hohoda, respect, within that kinship model. And so we're trying to replicate that and model that, as you would say. And then in addition to that, not only were they a part of that membership within their Tioshpaye, but also the societies within that, whether you were a young man, young woman. That's what, when I'm listening to Dekshi Tommy talk, we have the Buffalo Chaser Society, and that's where this whole idea of bringing it back comes from. there's a place for you here. And then in addition to that, I see it spawning out even beyond then, because someone like Dekshi is talking about the Wia Oyate Ki. We need to bring our ladies folks into this, and some of them they're already in good places, but we want to connect and not have it be this patriarchal perspective. We don't have patriarchal perspective, at least the way I was thinking. It's more maternalistic, right? And so we want to make sure that the women, we continue to hold them up high and that they have a platform, just like what we're doing here, but we help create access for them to connect them. Individuals like what was that nickname you shared over?
Gumdrops.
Gumdrops is in the house. So we didn't forget about you, Gumdrops, if you're listening. But connecting those individuals, those wiya to each other, so that way they can continue to flourish. So that way the ones underneath them can have a better way here. That's really kind of one of the main things I think we're developing. We're trying to revive, and also respect based versus fear based. Try not to be apolitical, but when I was listening to Dexia, that's another reoccurring theme that happens every week, because we're not here to shame anybody. We're not here to if you said this and that, and we all just kind of heckle you, tell you might get heckled a little bit, but in a good way. We don't ever want to be so get to the point where we can't take teasing. We want to, because if you can't, then inhibits your ability to joke and to laugh and to develop your own character, because it's important that we have that humor in ceremonies, in our day-to-day life, our interactions with our kids, and in school, everything. It's important we start to taking ourselves too seriously. That inhibits that growth. And I think and as far as your mental health, it's all related. We always say that when I was listening to Dekshi, that's mitakwe awasi. Okay, so like we're always like, it's important that we continue to be have that humor. And spirituality might look different for different people in different cultures, but here it's important to have that humility and that sense of what you call it, continue to teasing each other. And I think that's super important. A couple of comments here. There was okay, Becky. Okay, we got you there. Okay, I think that's pretty much the content we wanted to cover today. Dex, is there anything else you wanted to?
Well, one of the things that I think, because we were talking about the female involvement, it's the Buffalo Chasers Society, hey? And what if they all turn out to be all women? Hey, and and we'll adapt to that. We'll address that because, again, for me, naturally, what I think is going to happen is that leadership program and some of the things may turn out to be the majority of women, and will continue on in the same manner because, again, what those women, those ladies are to us, they're the teachers. They're the natural leaders. And so if anybody needs to hear it, our female individuals, leaders need to hear it and share it in a good way, eh? And in that, understanding that the spiritual attitude to go forward is one of just being won't speak here, just being somebody that shares in a good way this stuff, and it's amazing. But I think we can we'll do that, Toshka. That if it does turn out like that naturally, hopefully a few men will come in, and then the ladies can. Then we can establish that ladies' society, and maybe Laverne and Paula could have something to go with right there. I know they will, and then we could learn how to establish those women's stuff, because I know Johnny Lee Bearcup had a women's society way back in the day, and oh, it was strong. But she had some strong elderly ladies for her, and she
Mm.
really done well with that. And it really, you could see the difference. I was at that memorial thing, and one of the ladies from Sioux Valley was talking about back in the day where to help the mourners at the funeral at that time, the funeral to cry, they'd have these wailers. These old ladies would go up with a dark scarf on their head and a black shawl, and they go to the coffin, and they wouldn't cry, they would wail. hey? And it was so that it helped the family release that wachekia. Remember that heartfelt cry I was speaking about? That's a form of humbling yourself, and you'd have that ability to wachekia on behalf of your, and you would cry. And you got to bring it out. Eh? Those emotions, it's all right to cry, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a form of sharing and expressing an emotion that, yes, my heart feels sad, eh? And so and stuff like that. But that's what I wanted to share. And I know we only got an hour, and but I think we can get some good things going here. People, be intuitive, think about these things, what we'd like to do. You want to put them down, write them down, and bring them in a formatted way, and we can formally introduce them in one of our weeks or whatever during the land-based teachings and stuff like that. Hey, but kind of talk about what's going on here at the Buffalo Chasers Society kind of podcast, and then tomorrow, just the students and us that are facilitating it, we can really establish ourselves. Or if there's something on your mind you might want to speak about in the talking circle, you can do that as well. So let people know, and that's one of the requirements. That'll be the podcast and the talking circle to be participants in that. But let's be effective in that time that we spend together. But tomorrow I won't be talking all the time, although I do all the time anyway. But okay, I'm good to go. Okay.
I'm at Dex. So yeah, we're gonna continue moving forward. This sometimes we have to structure things based off academic schedules. But this our leadership program. It's all going to be weird. It's
Yeah.
going to build upon per semester. I anticipate we'll have another one in the summer. Okay, so just I know I was reading some of the comments. Some they want to know when these participants will be decided. Just be checking your emails. We will within the next week or so, couple of weeks before the 22nd, we'll formally make the announcement, and so we'll definitely communicate that. But every semester is something that'll be evolving. I think that's the part of the beauty of the way we're approaching this is that we're going to be fluid enough to adjust to whatever circumstances we need to. And I think that's going to be part of those leadership characteristics that will hope.
Pushka,
Oh,
I just want to say something real quick. I hope that because there's no requirements to the acceptance of those slots, we just go naturally with first come first serve. You know what I mean? And then because we don't want to perceive make it look like it's political. There's no way it because $1,000 is a lot of money, but if we just let them know, get it out there. You got flyers and stuff out there, the information. Want the students to talk amongst themselves and say, hey, there's a program here. If I participate, I'll get $1,000, 500 in front, 500 in the back. Then I think that to remain apolitical, just go with first come first serve, and that'll be, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And as long because that survey link, that's what we're going off of.
yeah.
So as soon as they get in there, boom, fill it out. I can log on to this computer and there's this program. It's a database. It's not what I pick. It captures the time it was submitted and everything. Just those eligibility requirements. That's all we're looking for. You first come, first serve. Boom, you're in there. Okay.
Cool.
So
Right on.
and then there's a possibility with other funding we could even add more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just be on the lookout for that. We want to definitely
But
incentivize.
also, if you don't make the list, but you can still participate, and be all included in that as well. So yeah, it's a learning experience. Yeah, but that's a leadership development program. Now that's why those first 30 will, or however many, will be looked after. But then there may be more money, and we could add some more to that. So the participation is key. Everybody's a part of the Buffalo Chasers Society, and then we need that 30 to go out and kind of proliferate that sort of a value system we're talking about. Okay, now I'm shutting up.
Oh, okay. I believe we I'll have to double check with Student Services Department with Miss Olivia Headdress, but I believe once that leadership program starts, depending upon the availability of cards, but I believe that they are going to be distributed those out with that next shipment of student meal programs. So I
But
believe
we're going to do something else, right?
I'd have to double check on that one. I think
Compensate for that 25 food card.
I'll have to double check with Olivia.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, Toshka, but yeah, I thought okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try and see what we can do there. But But right now, that for sure, that's what we're is the leadership program. So just stay tuned. We'll try do our best to, I guess, communicate and definitely want to continue moving forward with these initiatives in a good way. So with that, mitakuye pi doksta kewachia kapikte enana pekte.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey yo hey ha yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachi ya